Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today's March 24th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. We have a special guest on the line, Macro Aggressions podcast host, Charlie Robinson. He's doing a lot. He's an author, researcher, publishing now on Activist Post. He'll tell us all about all of his great work. He's going to join us to go over the news for the first hour here. What do we got? The hooks for the show today. On again, off again. I don't know. Orwellian doublespeak coming out of Trump in the White House as per usual. We'll cover the details. Allegedly, the United States sent a 15-point peace plan to Iran. Trump said we won the war. They're literally bombing everything as we speak right now. I don't know. I guess that's winning now. All this war developments to cover quite a bit there. NASA says we're gonna build Trump's moon base. That's a direct quote from NASA guy with ears that look like satellites. I don't know. It's all bizarre. Cover that. We got essentially martial law, police state in Memphis. They're celebrating all of that. We'll cover that. Crying about how we're in a partial government shutdown. Who knew? I guess if you're traveling at the airport, you would know. But besides that, they're crying about TSA has to eat out of food pantries or whatever. Well, they deserve to be abolished. So we'll cover all that. We got a new head of the Department of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne. We've been covering him. He was confirmed by the Senate. So we have a new tyrant taking over for Ice Barbie there. And we're not getting mass deportations. We have economic news. As per usual, we have Epstein files news per usual, and then a whole lot more on the war. We got Gavin Newsom putting out the meme, the thumbnail of the show. Newsom said, for so many years, people have been saying that Patrick Bateman and I look alike. Now this pic has been going on all over the place. What do you think? Here's a quick, this is right from Gavin Newsom. It's looking like probably our next president, the way things are lining up here. So he's proud of being the California psycho, apparently. All that and much more on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's get to on this day in history and blast through this and get to our guest. Maybe we need to bring back tar and feathered. On this day in 1832, Mormon leader Joseph Smith is beaten, tarred, and feathered in Hiram, Ohio. Maybe that needs to be brought back for all these, quote, righteous leaders that lead us down the path of despair. So that happened in 1832 on this day of March 24th. On March 24th, 1837, Canada grants its black citizens the right to vote, making everyone slaves. So we appreciate those efforts. Big in the public health here. We're not allowed to talk about it much due to the censorship, even though I did see a post, I guess Missouri, I want to say, won a big free speech case against the federal government. I don't think we have time to go into details about that, but that was due to the bat censorship. Anyway, on this day in 1882, German scientist Robert Koch discovers and describes the tuberculous bacillus. So that's the bacteria which causes tuberculosis, establishing germ theory. And we're still battling with that today. In 1883, on this day, we saw the first telephone call between New York City and Chicago. I'm sure the government was listening in as per usual. In 1930, on this day, we saw the first religious services telecast in the United States out of New York City, W2XBS. And so Man, we're in bad shape here with these religious fanatics, let me tell you. In 1942, on this day, U.S. government begins moving native-born citizens with Japanese ancestry into detention centers under Executive Order 9066 with intention of preventing homegrown espionage. And so they've already rounded up American citizens, Japanese, and put them in internment camps in this country. Don't think it won't happen again. In 1944, on this day, 76 Allied officers escape Stalag Luft 3 Great Escape. I believe there's a Hollywood movie. I forget who was all in it, but a pretty good one there. 1944, 811 British bombers attack Berlin on this day. In 1947, one of the greatest days in history we should all celebrate, John D. Rockefeller Jr. donates New York East River site to the United Nations. We do appreciate his efforts to build the one world government there. In 1958, on this day, Elvis Presley joins the U.S. Army so he could go ahead and pump war propaganda. In 1989, we saw the Exxon Valdez tanker spill 10.8 million gallons of crude oil in Prince William Sound in Alaska. In 1999, on this day, The Matrix, Red Pill, Black Pill, remember all that? The Matrix film was released on this day in 1999. In 2016, on this day, Bosnian Serb politician Radovan Karadzic is found guilty of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes during the 1995 Srebrenica massacre and sentenced to 40 years imprisonment. Wow, we got a whole bunch of politicians that need to suffer this fate for genocide and crimes against humanity and war crimes in live time right now. In 2018, on this day, America conducts its first ever drone strike against Al-Qaeda militants in southern Libya, going after those terrorists that we founded. And we do appreciate those efforts in the never-ending war on terror. Event of interest on this day in 2019, U.S. Attorney William Barr summarizes a report submitted by Robert Mueller. Remember, Russia. Trump's a Russian agent. Maybe he is. I don't know. It's starting to look like maybe he is. I don't know. But the Mueller report, which took up much of the nation's imagination here now and essentially sheep-dipped Trump as the good guy. He's one of the good guys because the establishment's going after him. Looks like all of that was part of this professional wrestling that is American politics. Anyhow, the investigation on this day, William Barr summarized the report saying the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. And then just a year ago today, last year, 2025, The Atlantic publishes the Trump administration accidentally texted me in its war plans, claiming U.S. Secretary of Defense at the time, Pete Hegseth, included a journalist in a group chat detailing airstrikes in Yemen. National security, keeping everything tight like that. And here's our segue to bring on Charlie. Remember old Jesse Ventura? He's telling you it's wrestling. I don't know. He was a wrestler. Maybe we should believe him.
When he got shot, Jesse, to be fair to Trump. Wait a minute, Piers. To be fair to Trump, when he got shot, I'm going to tell you. When he got shot, he got back up and said, fight. Oh, yeah, right. You ever hear of a blade job? Anyway. A blade? What, you think he was fake? Anyway, I don't know. Where's his scar today? Somebody died, literally, sitting behind him. I don't know. Come on, Piers. You're going to tell me this guy's a big hero now?
I thought that day he
That's
was.
what you're
Yeah.
going to tell me?
That day he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Charlie, how you doing on this Tuesday?
He's in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. I mean, that's what he is. I don't know what else we can do except that. And Jesse would know politics and wrestling. Nice background.
Jesse would know. You ever heard of a blade job? Right? Where's the scar on his ear? Man. That's where we're at. International law is dead, according to Iran's foreign minister. Put out that post earlier today. So it's been dead for a while, Charlie. I don't know if you've noticed. It's become abundantly clear we're in a new world order. They've told us at Davos. They've told us at the World Government Summit. They've told us at the Munich Security Council that the new world order is dead. We're in a new world order now. And so international law is indeed dead.
They show us that by assassinating negotiators at the negotiating table.
These damn terrorists, Charlie, they won't negotiate with us because you whack them every time they go to try to negotiate.
With the blowing up and all. We've seen what happens. I mean, it's rules for thee, but not for me, and it's very frustrating in dealing with. Of course, you're talking about a war, right? So in war, things happen, but there is no moral boundaries anymore. It feels like, especially with our aardvarks and their behavior, where there's a line in the sand for us, but there's not a line in the sand for them, unfortunately.
Joe Kent, I listened to Joe Kent Tucker interview, and he's talking about, he's a combat veteran, and he's talking about his combat duties during Iraq, and he said that U.S. soldiers fighting along aardvark soldiers, it's hard to do because they have two different objectives, and they basically have no morality whatsoever. And so it's hard for American soldiers when they don't want to shoot a 5-year-old in the head because the aardvark soldiers have no problem with it. That's their mission objective. So he was explaining that, how it's dangerous actually for American soldiers to fight alongside them with different mindsets on the battlefield.
Yeah. I would assume that if you were going into combat, you would want everybody with a similar mentality. Unfortunately, we've seen their mentality over the years. I've seen the T-shirts that say, that's the picture of a pregnant Palestinian woman with the gun sights through it that says 1 shot, 2 kills. And they sell those T-shirts. So you get a sense of where the morality or lack thereof is going to be right from the beginning with that group. And if you're coming from a place of duty, morality in combat, then you're going to have an incompatible integration with that group, I think.
That's what Joe Kent said. Extremely difficult to fight alongside them. So I don't know. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are now negotiating. They failed at negotiations, started this war essentially, according to Trump, and now they're back negotiating again. How do they even have a job? Their failed negotiations led to a major war here now.
Well, I think it helps when one of the negotiators is actually the handler of the president of the United States. Then in that case, the jobs keep opening up for you magically. So you failed the last time you tried to negotiate. Well, I don't know. I say they failed. Maybe in their minds it wasn't a failure at all, because I suppose it depends on what your goals are, right? And now you and I are coming at this from a standpoint of whatever we can do to not have a war, or dial in this war and prevent it from breaking out into a broader war. And maybe their idea of victory is, how do we throw gasoline on this fire? And so we have to make sure that we're coming at this with the same objectives.
True. We do. I guess, yeah, according to sane people, then the objective would be not to have a big war, but according to them, their perspective may have been to start a war. And I don't get how Jared Kushner, he's just a dude. I guess now he has official capacity with the U.S. government, but for the first year of the Trump administration, he's just a dude that was going around negotiating major deals in our proxy war with Russia and all these Middle East, the peace board and all this. And so it was literally just a dude, the president's son-in-law, with no official capacity, even working for the U.S. government. I don't even see how any of this is possible, but yet that's how it's all gone down. It's quite.
I'll tell you where I saw a similarity to this. When I was working in real estate in Las Vegas, I was a licensed real estate broker. And I had a buddy of mine who was also working in real estate, but he was working in land. And I asked him one day, why don't you get your real estate license? And he says, if I get my license, then I am bound by certain things I can and can't say. As long as I don't have a license, I can say whatever I want. So I wonder if Kushner fit himself in this little spot where he's sort of in. You always want to, you always need access to the president, but he's got access to the president through his marriage. And so maybe he stands to benefit by having a technical, a real carved out job and be this amorphous, unlicensed agent who's negotiating peace deals, air quotes, and making these things sort of happen at the. I mean, he's essentially a fixer, and I'm not really sure that he's qualified for that either. Although I think he actually answers to the men with the black hats, and in doing so, he's probably higher up the food chain than maybe even the president is at this point.
It may very well be. Back and forth today, they say they're going to stop. I don't know. Well, they say the latest greatest is the back and forth. The latest greatest out of the Trump administration is a 15-point proposal for Iran. Let's see here. Let's go through them real quick. Let me read them to you. Number one, removal of all sanctions on Iran, U.S. assistance in advancing and developing a civilian nuclear project, electricity generation removal of the threat of sanctions being reimposed. Iran's nuclear program is frozen under a defined framework, enriched uranium to remain under supervision and agreed limits. Missile program to be addressed at a later stage with limits on quantity and range. Use of nuclear programs restricted to civilian defense purposes only. Development of existing nuclear capabilities halted. No further expansion of enrichment capabilities. No production of weapons-grade nuclear material on Iranian soil. All enriched material to be handed over to the IAEA within an agreed timeline. Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow to be taken out, to be destroyed. International monitoring and verification mechanisms enforced. Gradual implementation tied to compliance. Additional regional and security understandings between the two parties. That's been proposed by Trump's White House to Iran, and Iran's hemming and hawing and saying, yeah, whatever, dude. At this point, basically shrugging their shoulders. So Iran shrugged so far at the 15-point peace proposal by the White House, Charlie.
I'll say that, there's a lot of hoops that you have to go through in order to be nuclear compliant and to have into this club. And I'm just wondering if the juice is worth the squeeze on this, because it seems like if you have hypersonic missiles, those are missiles that you can actually use during war. Whereas nuclear warheads are things that you build up as a deterrent, but you can't actually ever use them. If you use them, you're instantly the bad guy and it spirals into something much worse. So if you're thinking about actually defending yourself, then they don't really need nuclear missiles. They would need the sanctions taken off them. That would be a big help for them. But again, this is no the American empire and the American empire is acting as if they're going to do Iran a favor with taking the sanctions off of them. It's like, you know, I don't know who they think is in the driver's seat of this operation, but this is not going according to plan. I think that maybe in their minds this was going to be a mob where they would snatch knock out the top leadership in a week, and things would be different. And that hasn't been the case. It seems moving forward. So maybe now is not the time to be offering up the negotiations with the Iranians. It looks like, in my opinion, the Iranians are in a much better position than they were when this thing started. And I don't know that necessarily saying that the American interests want to end the war, that means that the war stops, because this might be the one chance Iran has to finally pulverize that country. And if they were to do that now, it's one of those things. I mean, you simply cannot take the American empire at its word. They offer a 15-point plan. It's like, hey, man, with all due respect, you blew up our guys last time we went to the negotiating table. We're not doing this.
And everything I remember right before this war, the current war kicked off, that Friday, Oman was there. Oman dude was there as the mediator in the peace talks between Kushner, Witkoff, and Iran. And he was saying it's going smooth. Everything looks fine. And then that night, boom, we're attacking Iran. So like, whoa, dude, somebody's not telling the truth on this thing. Now Pakistan signals willingness to mediate U.S.-Iran peace talks. So we'll see if Pakistan's got nukes, right? So
when Pakistan is the voice of reason, you have big problems in the world.
I saw videos where Mr. Mustache Bolton is the voice of reason on this thing. I'm like, we are in trouble. When Bolton
turn off Stern, turn it back on, or turn it off and turn it on, or something. I don't
know. France, Macron says, please negotiate. They're worried about the Strait of Hormuz, as is everybody. Here's the maniac, Pete Hegseth. I don't know how this guy makes it out without, I guess there's no more international law. But if we did have international law, this guy's a prime candidate for war crimes. Listen to this maniac. We negotiate with bombs, he says.
And close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs.
Great. That's a great reputation to have around the world. We negotiate with bombs. We're the world's reserve currency, and if you don't like it, we'll bomb you. Wonderful.
It's incredible, man, what these guys are doing. Trump on Iran, I think we're going to end it. I can tell you for sure. And he says this every day. We've won the war. Now, Trump.
I will take it. I know he's a narcissist, and I know he's got these delusions. Whatever it takes to get you to stop the killing, please. Please stop all of this.
But Charlie, he says it every day now for the last week. We won the war. And I go and look at the foreign news report, and they're bombing the hell out of them right now. You haven't won jack, dude.
I know.
They act like we don't have the internet and access to other news besides Fox News or something. We have no access to any other information but U.S. government propaganda and Fox News. You know what I mean? No, it's like, no, dude. There's a whole bunch more information that says the exact opposite of everything you're saying, and with video evidence, on the ground reports. Come on, dude.
It's like they think that the messaging is like when we were having the 91 Gulf War, right? Where you really only did have CNN as a source of news, LA Times or whatever, your local. But But now we have the ability to peek behind the curtain and see what's actually going on, or we have the ability to tap into what Al Jazeera is talking about, or RT or Sputnik, or somebody who's a little bit more independent. And it's like, wow, this is a much different version of the war than what the mainstream media is telling us. And so it's, I guess it's like your social media feed, right? Whatever yours is, that's the world in which you're living in. And then maybe your parents have a different they have a different news feed. They're cable news junkies, and they're turning on the TV and it's Fox or CNN or MSNBC. And so, like, you're on the same planet, you're living in the same, maybe even, or down the street, but you might as well be living in a different world because their version of reality is curated to show them something much different than what you and I are getting.
True. You have to go search it out though, because they'll let you stay in your little echo chamber. And I think we're getting a little feedback there, actually. But yeah, they'll let you stay in your echo chamber. Okay, continuing here. Who's this? NPR reports that Aardvark Land says it needs several more weeks to finish war goals, calling progress halfway there with very significant achievements, but no full strategic victory yet. So looks like, I don't know, Trump's kind of signaling America wants to back down a little bit, but Aardvark Land, full on Greater Aardvark Land project is going ahead at full steam, it seems, and we're tied to the hip with them for better or worse here now. British Royal Navy will take lead in forming an alliance to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So now, and the Pentagon to order within the next few hours, according to a report out of the Wall Street Journal, 3,000 troops out of the Army's elite 82nd Airborne Division to be deployed to the Middle East. And we're seeing reports here now every day of troop deployments increasing. And then this just came out. This broke like an hour before we came on the air. Starting 4/20, April 20th, the Army is going to raise the maximum enlistment age range from 34 to 42 years old now, and they'll go ahead and waive requirement for individuals with a single prior conviction for marijuana possession. So that's good of them. It's real good of them.
We're going to need more people to go and die for the empire. So, let's open up the eligibility here. Fortunately, we're going to have to add some older gentlemen to the mix as well. I mean, do you remember a time when you used to play Atari? Do you want to fly drones have we got the job for you?
Wow. We're getting there, closer and closer. And the end of this year, every American 18 to 26 will be automatically enrolled in selective service. You don't have to do anything, so you'll be eligible for the draft. So that's a good thing as well. That was
convenient.
That was in the NDAA. It's very good of them. You don't have to do anything. You can automatically put your name in the draft. As they act like things are winding down, it looks like things are winding up. Aardvark Land government will approve a plan for allowing the IDF to mobilize up to 400,000 reservist troops through the end of May. Looks like everything's cranking up to me, but they are trying to say it's winding down. Man, yeah, and here's a report, just all these different military. I mean, we got a lot of big guns over there, right? Tanks, planes, helicopters, ships, all the big guns are there. And here's a report. They just go through the list of all this. A lot of U.S. military assets, air, sea, land, space even, right? And so there's a whole lot of military assets right now dedicated to the Iran war. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, Pete Hegseth says. Let's see this. But yet they're shooting missiles right now, but apparently they've been obliterated. Here's Secretary of War again today.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. You're spot on. Never in history has a modern military. Iran had a modern military. Air defenses, leadership, massive bunker. Never has a modern military been so rapidly and historically obliterated, defeated.
They say they're defeated, but they're literally shooting missiles right now at U.S. Military bases and assets. I don't get it. Disconnect.
You can tell that they're actually on the losing end is because they are even signaling that they might want to take their foot off the gas. Because if I know anything about Aardvark land, they are bloodthirsty. If they saw this as an opportunity to finish them off, they would be going, no, we need more, twice as many. You know, we have to keep going. The fact that there's any hesitation shows, I think that there's been a massive miscalculation on behalf of the American empire as to what they're getting into, and that this is going to be a much bigger problem. I don't envision them ever really pivoting to peace, but they're definitely having to make some sort of recalculations because I think that they envision this going much differently than it has so far. It's not to say that they can't turn it around, and I'm on the side of just wrapping this whole thing up. Let anyone and everyone declare victory if they want. I don't care, but just stop the wars. But I don't think that that's a viable path. I think that a lot of these people are, I don't know, like to borrow a poker term, pot committed to this. There's just no backing out at this point. It's cheaper for them to just put the rest of the resources in and move through this and see if they can't finish it off. To hesitate, to stop, to move back, it's a signal to the world that you're weak, and it's a signal to other nations that are thinking of making a move. China on Taiwan potentially, Russia thinking of maybe ramping things up with Ukraine. They see any of the, so everybody's watching to see how the American empire behaves in this moment. And right now, it's been a bit embarrassing. If Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump giving you the narrating commentary, the play-by-play of where the war is, you're going to feel schizophrenic because it's 1 hour to the next. It's different. It's we're winning. We've never dominated somebody so hard in our lives. And then it's, we got to get them to stop. It's like, wait, what? I don't know.
Well, Trump says that we've achieved regime change there because we killed all the top guys, but the same regime's in charge. It's more martyrs lined up, potential martyrs willing to die for the cause. And so there is no regime change there. It's the same regime, just a different Ayatollah today than there was yesterday. You know what I mean? And so they thought they were going to whack this Ayatollah and badly miscalculated. And that's actually brought the people together on the back of their failed regime change color revolution with the weaponized dollar leading the way. And none of that's worked out as they had calculated. And now it's the same mullah regime there in Iran. Germany's Volkswagen will reach an agreement with the Aardvark land Iron Dome manufacturer to switch from automotive business to missile defense business, according to Financial Times. So that's what do they call it? Societal mobilization, part of it. Wow. Aardvark land plans to seize control over large parts of southern Lebanon. They're carrying, and that's according to Defense Minister Katz, report out of the failing New York Times. And so they are indeed ethnic cleansing Lebanon now. And they're going to take a big chunk of Lebanon, southern Lebanon, for the greater Aardvark land project there.
Anyway, when I said that, I was called an unhinged conspiracy theorist, even though it's on the patch on the side of their shoulders. But when they disclose it in the newspaper, then all of a sudden, I suppose it's fine.
Then it's legitimate at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Trump claims Iran gave him a very big present and that they're going to make a deal. And he was claiming this morning, and Iran's like, we don't know what you're talking about, dude. So somebody's lying. They're probably both lying at this point. Who knows? But Iran says we don't know what.
that big deal was with the regime that you blew up, and so then it's kind of off the table now. So of course he doesn't know who he's even dealing with or interacting with. He probably thinks the group there might be somebody from Iran that he's negotiating with, but unfortunately they're probably from a place called Unit 8200, and they aren't who they appear to be. They're probably having some fun with him. Oh yes, this is definitely the Ayatollah. Go ahead, tell me your demands.
Man, I wouldn't doubt it. What do you think about this ridiculousness? It just feels like fraud. Another black hole of fraud here at NASA. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. This guy's a billionaire. It turns out, yeah, all of Trump administration are billionaire or ex-Fox News hosts. You know what I mean? It's just beyond the pale. But this character, how many because we're in a new Cold War with China. They tell us in the new space race to get back to the moon. They tell us as if we went there in the first place. But here's this character telling, and these are his real ears, by the way, not satellites. But here he is saying we're going to go back to the moon.
Okay, so today is an event we're calling Ignition at NASA headquarters. This is where we align the NASA workforce, industry, all of our international and commercial partners, and really the space-loving community on how we're going to achieve President Trump's national space policy. This means returning to the moon, picking up where Apollo 17 left off, but this time when we go back to stay. We're going to build President Trump's moon base. We're going to make investments in the next giant leap capability. So today we're going to talk about a first of its kind interplanetary spaceship, nuclear powered, to deliver a very exciting scientific payload to Mars. We're going to talk about the orbital economy in low Earth orbit. We're going to talk about more exciting missions of science and discovery.
Not doing any of that, Jared.
We're building a Trump moon base, Charlie. Are you excited?
Oh, I can't. It's going to be the biggest moon base you've ever seen. Some are calling it the best moon base ever. Yeah, this is money laundering. Of course, this is a prime textbook case of washing funds and it's going into some black budget program somewhere. They've got a lot of smart people working on a bunch of busy work over there at NASA. It's pretty frustrating to watch.
Well, maybe
this.
AI can streamline all their processes and get us to interstellar space travel as they claim here now.
Well, their guy from the Orion Project who made a video said that they needed to fix the shielding issues in order to get through the Van Allen radiation belt, and that these shielding issues needed to be figured out before we're able to get through it. And yet I was told they made it there 7 times on the way there and 7 times on the way back, going through the Van Allen radiation belt. So which is it? Either you've figured out the problem of getting through the Van Allen radiation belt because you did it in the 60s and early 70s, or you still need to solve that problem, because we've got them on record saying both things. So it can't be both.
Charlie, we've never been at war with East Asia. We've always been at war with East Asia.
Yeah.
Here's some more rank hypocrisy from Orange Man Trump. Trump voted by mail in the Florida special election this week, despite continuing to claim that mail-in voting is cheating. That's a report out of Reuters.
That's great.
What do you think about the militarized police state? They're telling us now the Army are essentially law enforcement. So we're having like almost martial law here. Here's the Department of War, and these are military men, not police. God bless our law enforcement. These are the freaking Army. This is the Army, and they're calling them, and the Department of War says, God bless our law enforcement. This is like martial law. And at one time, conservatives would be screaming from the top of their lungs about federalization of feds, of local police here now, and screaming martial law, posse comitatus, troops on the streets, all this. And now, mum's the word about it.
Well, if you remember a decade ago, 2015, Jade Helm, they ran those exercises. And when they were interviewing the participants in it, I don't want to call them police. I'm not really sure what their designation was, but they said, well, in this simulation, who are the guys you're going after? Who are the bad guys? He says, well, it's constitutionalists and things like that. And it's like, really? They're the bad guys. I mean, I was expecting him to say, terrorists. We're going after terrorists. But he's like, constitutionalists and First Amendment, Second Amendment guys and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, wait, those aren't supposed to be the bad guys, but in that role-playing exercise, they were. And so this is the slippery slope that the problem reaction solution of problem. The TSA is taking too long to get us through security. Reaction, do something, do anything. Hey.
There you go. You dropped out for a second. Yeah.
So the solution is to bring in the military and pay the price for it, And then now you've got the DHS coming in and saying, we will help you with your travel situation at the airports. We'll come in here and we'll straighten it out. And it's like, oh, thank you, daddy government / military, for coming in and taking care of this form of security theater that we used to not even have prior to 9/11.
It's quite amazing here. They're celebrating Memphis. My question is, where are all the local police? The feds had to go into Memphis. Essentially, they say the crime was so bad there that they had to send in the National Guard, which was martial law troops on the streets. Where are all the local police? Like, they failed so bad at their job stopping crime that the feds had to come in, is a story we're told, and make thousands of arrests, all this stuff. Where's all the local cops? You know what I mean? Shouldn't they all be fired then? I guess they've all failed at their job miserably. But as we come to learn in government, you fail upward and get a promotion when you fail. Like, I don't get how any of this is justified. We have Mark Wayne Mullen now. He's our new Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, confirmed today by the Senate. And so there you go. This character right here, he's profiteered off the war, sitting on the, he is a senator sitting on the Armed Services Committee. We've covered that. He's profiteered off of the war, and he's praised the J6 cops and the shooter of Ashley Babbitt there. And so go MAGA. You know what I mean?
Wow. He'll fit in nicely there. A gigantic hypocrite who can run Trump's brown shirts. Would be great. This is just, I mean, I feel like for anybody who really kind of bought in second time around to this for Trump and had, for whatever, had high hopes, and we're hoping that maybe this time was going to be different, given that, he really had been targeted and persecuted by these people for years, and they were trying to put him in jail and trying to kill him and trying to ruin his life. And that you thought, like, well, if they'd done this to me, then I would come back and I'd be like a torpedo ready to like take them all down, and maybe this time will be different. And it's bait and switch, for anybody that ever had their hopes up for the last year. It's like, after you've seen what's gone on in the last, the last month, especially with regard to the war, but really the last 6 months, it's just been quite disappointing, I think, for a lot of people. Too late, of course, for them to do anything about it, but maybe a wake-up call that's desperately needed. I don't know.
He may get impeached here if things keep going the way they are. It looks like the Republicans are going to lose the midterms, and Trump will be impeached. But it won't be for his actual crimes. It'll be for some made up BS, probably.
Walking. Yeah.
Here's some good news. 400 plus TSA officers have quit, but we're told they're humble civil servants that only care about keeping us safe from the terrorists, which they've never caught. And so it turns out they weren't so turned on by the date raping, and so these ones 400 plus. Turns out they actually do it for the money and not for the fringe benefits of date raping you at the airport. So nearly half of TSA agents called out at America's busiest airports. So they care so much about our national security. Half of them called in sick.
Wow.
Yeah,
you guys are whores. You're doing it for the money. It's fine. Just admit that you are, and we'll go from there. But I have no love for them. I wrote a chapter in my first book called Black and Blue and Dumb All Over. It was about the TSA and their black and blue uniforms and how they give them tests when they're in the hiring process. And based on what the scores that they get on those tests, it determines whether or not they're going to hire them. But the assumption that these people make is that the higher they score on the test, the better their chances are of getting hired. And what it turns out is that they're actually looking for people that score very low on the test because they don't want you to have any other options. Because as soon as they spend all that money to train you, to put you into the TSA, you're going to realize that this is the worst job you've ever had in your life. And if you have the possibility to get other employment, you'll leave and they will have squandered the money that they spent to train you. So it's very important for them to hire people who are, as George Carlin says, just smart enough to work the machines.
Or get off on date rape. So there you go. Those are your options.
That's an added bonus. That comes along with it for free with the low IQ.
Man. Just ridiculous. And so who suffers? The American people. They're talking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hour wait lines at the airport now because of partial government shutdown. And we're like ripe for maybe a false flag terrorist attack. DHS is halfway working. I don't know. Maybe it's better. Then they won't be running some drills and actually do the attack. Who knows at this point? It's a disaster and the American people suffer for it. Here now. Here's the big news. I reported on it yesterday, but it's worth re-reporting today. Kind of big news, and everybody just who cares? Fortune magazine reported yesterday the Treasury just declared the U.S. insolvent. What? Yeah, it's kind of a big deal here. Kind of a big deal. The media missed it. Yeah.
That's weird that the media missed it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They usually catch everything, but this was published on Monday. Fortune magazine, Steve H. Hankey, he's an economist dude. I've seen him out there before. Anyway, again, worth reiterating, the United States government is insolvent. That's not hyperbole. It's the conclusion drawn directly from the Treasury Department's own consolidated financial statements for fiscal year 2025. It's time to go home. It's the numbers, 6.06 trillion in assets against 47.78 trillion in liabilities. And so that's a snapshot right there. Yeah. And that's not even counting the unfunded liabilities. And they go on in this report to talk more about that. That's your Social Security insurance. And that's not even talking about the black hole. What is it? The 23 trillion that Catherine Austin Fitts always talks about. That's not even talking about any of that. This is just your official on the books that they're not lying about, right? Official from the government. So it's time to pack it. Everybody go home. The war's over. All government workers go home. You're insolvent. Game over. But yet the machine continues to run here, Charlie.
Yeah, 8 times more insolvent.
Like they're leveraged like 8-to-1 assets to liabilities. It's not good. It's not good.
If you ran a business the way they run the government, you would have been out of business a long time ago. This is very frustrating. I was actually talking to Catherine Austin Fitts about what she saw as the most concerning component of where we're headed. Just last week we were talking about this, and she actually said that the private credit market was making her very nervous. It's seizing up a lot of these big funds, Blackstone, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, were refusing redemptions. People who had money with their private credit departments were saying, we need our money back. Understand, we're unable to do that. And that's happening at a variety of these big banks too, not small ones, but rather large banks. They're some of the biggest banks in the world. And so if it's happening there and there's a liquidity problem with private credit markets, that's going to have a cascading effect. And of course, couple that with what's happening in the Gulf, it's the recipe, unfortunately.
Let me read a little bit more from this article to put it in perspective. They say most people cannot relate to trillion-dollar figures on a government ledger. Yeah, that's a lot of freaking zeros, right? So consider this. Divide every number by 100 million, drop 8 zeros, and federal finances look like a household budget in free fall. That household earns, this is an example, they're giving $52,446 and spends $73,378, running a $20,932 annual deficit. Its total liabilities and unfunded promises amount to $1,361,788 against just $60,554 in assets, leaving it $1.3 million in the hole. Uncle Sam, by any accounting standard, is insolvent. Like, dude, this is like that they're actually saying it. Like, as you say, Charlie, we've known that they've been bankrupt. The whole Federal Reserve System's a Ponzi scheme from the gate, but they're actually saying it on their consolidated financial statements. And anybody can go look it up. Leverage like 8-to-1 assets to liabilities. It's quite insane that anyone is even still doing business with the U.S. government, except for the fact they got a big gun pointing in everybody's face.
Yeah, this makes me even more uncomfortable than I felt about this a couple of years ago, because a couple of years ago, I would be screaming that the government was insolvent and everyone would say, yeah, you're crazy. But now the fact that they're actually admitting it makes me feel like maybe they have recognized that there's no stopping this, that there's no point in even denying it any further, that there's some sort of, it makes me feel like they know something I don't know. Because all of a sudden we're allowed to discuss it in a way that we were always told we were crazy before. Much in the same way you're now allowed to criticize the aardvarks. You start going, yeah, they deserve all this criticism, and then you go wait a second, am I walking a trap here? Because I was never allowed to ever do this before. And now it feels I'm allowed to criticize, I'm allowed to acknowledge that the banking system is insolvent. I mean, what next? Are we going to say that we start wars and it's not to spread freedom and democracy? And then you see it. You see Pete Hegseth talking about how we're just going to go over there, we deal with bombs. And you're like, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. And I think that might be the most dangerous component of this. It feels like real end of the empire behavior when the mask is totally off and you just don't even care.
Straight up gangster capitalism. Straight up gangster capitalism. All out Smedley Butler.
You're robbing the bank without a mask.
In your face.
It's a certain level of like torpedo-ness that it's got to make everybody feel like, oh, this person is very reckless right now.
Are we going into, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Shannon Joy was reporting on Aaron Day's reports, talking about energy lockdowns now, potentially. Lockdown 2.0, rationing of energy. You think that is on the horizon here now, with much of the energy infrastructure there in West Asia region all under attack, all over the place, from Saudi Arabia to Iran to name the place, UAE, Qatar, Yemen, maybe not Yemen, but all the rest are have had major attacks on the energy infrastructure there. Are we going to see lockdown 2.0? Some places, I believe, there's a few places later in the reporting. I believe it was Philippines has declared a national emergency over energy now, and it looks like more governments are jumping on board. What do you think? Lockdown 2.0 for man-made energy crisis now?
Yeah, 4-day work week for the governments and things like that. And, do your part to save, 2 weeks to flatten the world, I guess. I don't know. But this is part of it. Yeah, for sure. Energy lockdowns, 15-minute cities. You can already, if you kind of sense that the goal is that they don't want you to feel the freedom to travel and move around, and you know that that's the goal, and then you work backwards. You go, well, what would I do to make people not travel anymore? I could ban them from traveling, or I could make traveling so unappealing that they just kind of decide they never want to go to an airport again. They never want to get on Spirit Airline again. They don't want to fight with people. Southwest Airlines at the terminal. They don't want to deal with TSA. They don't want to deal. There's videos of baggage claim, throwing guitars and doing all this stuff. That is being shown to us for a reason. They don't want you flying. So vision where they hit you from both directions, right? A climate lockdown in the sense of we've got energy situations going on with the Strait of Hormuz and all of that, and we have to be mindful of the energy. But then there's also this soft psychological campaign to get you to just not even want to leave anymore, to get out, because to the process of getting to the airport and dealing with all those things that you have to do is so unappealing that you just throw your hands up and say, I'll self quarantine. I'll put myself in the 15-minute city because I don't need to leave, because to leave is, I don't want to open myself up to all that frustration. So it might not happen right away, but you can see how the steps are being taken for climate lockdowns in the future. Unless we stand up, and I think they learned a lot during the bat period of time about behavior modification, what works, when you give them the carrot, when you give them the stick, and what they did wrong, and where the messaging was too weird, and where the messaging was just right, or where it needed to be stronger. I think that might have been a dress rehearsal for where we're going. And if it is energy lockdowns and that's the catalyst, well, then you'll see some of the same messaging, same tactics, but maybe with different messaging. But it might look familiar, and of course there'll be new characters. We get new characters. It's Lockdowns Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Can't wait.
Zero Hedge is reporting California diesel breaks record, surpasses $7 a gallon. I'm in California. That means the price of everything is going to increase here now.
Yeah.
The national AAA national average for gas is almost $4. Here it is today. It's up to $3.97. And here where I'm at in California, we're almost at $6, $5.82. They're beating us bad here. They're beating the brakes off us. Here's the national debt just passed 39 trillion last week. And if we keep going at this clip in like 3.5, 4 months, we're going to add another trillion on there, maybe even faster at this pace. Who knows? It's clearly unsustainable, and they don't have any intention of ever paying this back or even acting like they care about it anymore. I remember one time, Charlie, back in the Tea Party days, where Republicans in the Obama administration, the national debt was like 8 trillion, and everybody was losing their mind over it. And now it's just like, 40 trillion. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're never going to pay it back. It seems like you're playing with casino chips, and it doesn't feel real. And I think that's part of the psychological component of that. It's just once those numbers get so big, they don't mean anything anymore, and it's, you lose sight of what's right and wrong.
At some point, though, aren't investors going to lose confidence and no longer buy U.S. Treasuries? I mean, because the risk is going to outweigh. It's going to be too big of a risk. And so it won't make financial sense to make that investment.
Between that, watching what the U.S. and the NATO countries did to Russia by seizing their $300 billion that was in their liquidity fund, and taking that, it sent the signal to the world that, hey, the American financial system will also steal your money when you get on the wrong side of them. They'll throw you off the SWIFT banking system, lock you, and so we've the American empire has shown to the world their behavior over the last 10 years, 20 years or so. And I think a lot of people are a lot of countries are watching that and they're saying, we're just not somebody we can do business with anymore moving forward. And it's really, it's a pivotal time for America in general. But for people like us that are paying attention to this, it feels like, it just feels like there's so much happening all at once at this time, and we're going to wish we could slow it down and go back and you want to focus on one thing, but there's 10 other things happening. It's just it feels very chaotic, but I suppose that's what happens to empire or at a fourth turning, where the here comes the tidal wave, and for those who are in high ground, they'll be out of the way, and for those who aren't paying attention, it's going to be a rough go till 2030.
I know you want to go at the top of the hour. One last story here, Charlie, and we'll let you go. The greater North America, they've told us the Department of War is building this out now. North American Union, American Technate, the greater North America, essentially all the same plan here now. Trump expands Latin American military operations. Operation Total Extermination unveiled. And so we're now going to war here in South America to clean up those damn narco drug traffickers. Part of building the greater North America here. Total Extermination. Operation Total Extermination. So we're going
Who's getting exterminated? Something tells me it's us.
Operation Total Extermination began with strikes along the Colombian-Ecuador border on March 3rd, targeting these alleged drug cartels. And they're talking about this is only the beginning of military operations in South America to build the greater North America.
You know what this is? There is a push by the Aardvark nation to infiltrate South America. It's been happening.
They already have Argentina for sure. Milei says he's the biggest Zionist president in the world. I was like, wow, I thought that was Bibi, our shadow president. No, turns out it's the guy out of Argentina, and he openly, publicly brags about it.
And it's not just him. They're coming for South America. It's a real push. I spoke with Patrick Henningsen about this, and we were kind of joking. It was like Operation Condor 2, where they were going in there, and the weapons are coming from the Middle East. Training is coming from those guys in the Middle East. So there's that going on, and then there's this North American Technate that it seemed disjointed when Trump first started saying we're going to take Greenland, and you go, all right, we're going to get the Panama Canal, we got to get the Chinese out of there, and we're going to get BlackRock in there to get do the deal and get control of the Panama Canal, and then it's like we're going to get Venezuela, and it's like, well, maybe we'll choke off Cuba. You start going, well, what is going on, right? Until you see that map, the North American Technate, and you go, oh, it's all countries. This is part of it. This is part of something much bigger. And that map is from 100 years ago, from 32, back in the technocracy era. So what we're seeing is a push to maybe take something that was a concept 100 years ago and put it into play. We've got the Trump doctrine, a play on the
Monroe Doctrine. They say updated Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah, 200 years later, Trump's got to put his name on it, just like a hotel, right? Stick his name right up on there. But the same sort of now. And I did an episode of Macroaggressions about that. And my big caveat was he can talk about all of this stuff and he can have a plan for doing it. but he still has this loyalty to that nation in the Middle East. He has that. It runs of being the prime that takes precedent over all of this Trump road doctrine and all this stuff. So it sounds like he's got a plan, and it definitely he's putting it in play. But I think because he's got his hands embroiled in the stuff with Iran, that's going to be a big monkey wrench in everything. So we'll see how it plays out. But it's certainly something to watch. I think Cuba's next on the list. They're going to get their power turned off, and then we're going to come in and magically save the day, and he's going to claim victory on that one as well, and then Beach after himself or something like that. I don't know. You know how it'll go. It'll be gross and gone, and hopefully though, because given his last couple, I'd like to have something with just no more fighting. But that's the American empire, dangerous animal at the tail end of its cycle. So I don't know.
Wow, thank you, Charlie, for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's plug all your stuff. How do people find your work here? Let me put your, is this the best place to reach you? Microaggressions podcast with Charlie Robinson, microaggressions.io.
Macroaggressions.io, yes.
Macro.
My podcast. Also, if you're interested in getting daily news, activistpost.com. Activist Post has been an independent news website that's been around for 16 years. In the summer of 2024, the guys reached out to me and I would be interested in buying the company. They wanted to do something different. And as an avid reader of the articles on Activist, I took over that proudly, and we rebuilt the site. So if you're interested in getting news, we republish articles, 9 or 10 of them a day over there about from independent journalists who are writing about things that matter in the time when they matter most, not 4 years later when it's safe to talk about it. So hopefully you'll consider getting your news over there as well. Add that to your source of news, and sign up for our email newsletter too. We got a good one. I promise we're not going to spam you too much, but we've got some good stuff going on over there. So if you get prompted, make sure to sign up for that. And thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
Hey, thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Let's pray for peace, Charlie.
Yeah.
Great. All right, there goes Charlie. And let me do my thank you for joining us, everybody. Again, macro aggressions.io. There, go check out all Charlie's great work as he's off. Okay, let me do my live commercial break here now. We had a little bit of a connection problem, but I think it went fairly smooth there. Thank you, Charlie, for joining us. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself some stickers over there. The holograph sticker, the white background sticker, the clear sticker at weaponizednews.com/shop. The link is in the description below this video. Help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week. Broadcasting Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern. Help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you here by Weaponized News. Thank you very much. Give us a like, share, subscribe, push that notification button. Patron our store. We got t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, all kind of gear over there for your patronage. Any which way you choose to support the broadcast is truly appreciated. You can subscribe to, you can be a paid subscriber on Weaponized News Substack. The links to almost everything we talk about are published there in the sources section for further research. Buy me a coffee, Cash App, Bitcoin wallet. All those links are, and the wallet is in the description below this video. Give us that like, share, subscribe, push the notification button. And thank you to everyone out there who's supporting this broadcast. Welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Tuesday edition. March 24th, 2026. We got Charlie Robinson on going over the news the first hour. It's just me here now on the second hour. Again, go check out his site, macroaggressions.io and activistpost.com. Okay, where are we at here? Let me get back in the news. We still had some more economic reporting, but again, this story is still blowing my mind. I don't know. I guess who cares, right? It's just the United States government is insolvent. Like, dude, this is like big freaking news. Kind of a big deal. I don't know. No, nobody cares. Somebody's gonna care, is what I'm telling you here. Very soon, the world financial markets will care. Okay, continuing here, more on some more economic reporting. Asia is extremely exposed to Iran war energy shock. Countries like Philippines and Vietnam rely on Middle East for 95 to 90% of their oil. South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand all import 70% of their oil. Even China and India rely 50% plus on oil imports. Meanwhile, parts of Europe import under 20%. If disruption in the supply chain continues, Asia gets hit hardest first. So, yeah. Qatar Energy, the world's largest LNG producer, just sent force majeure notices to Italy, Belgium, South Korea, and China. They're not able to fulfill their contracts. That is a report out of Reuters. They're profiteering off this war. Someone bet $320 million that oil was about to drop 15 minutes before Trump announced Iran peace talks. That dropped oil 14%. BBC has the trading data. So they're clearly front running, insider trading, profiteering off of Trump's announcements regarding the Iran war. The Philippines has declared a national emergency over the Iran war. Yeah, because 95% of their oil is imported, and they're cut off in large part here now. Russia's energy revenues are up approximately 70% month over month because of the Iran war. So we're backhanded. Think of this schizophrenia here. Now the Trump administration's putting us through. We're in a proxy war with Russia via Ukraine, yet attacking Iran directly benefits Russia's oil revenues. So we're backhandedly fueling the Russian war machine to go ahead and fight them in Ukraine. It's insanity. It's insanity now. The EU has delayed its plan for a permanent Russian oil ban. But I thought Russia is going to attack all of Europe and take it over. But now EU's forced to fuel the Russian war machine. That's the schizophrenic insanity that we're in. The EU has delayed its plan for a permanent Russian oil ban due to the Iran war's impact on global energy markets and internal disputes. That's Euro News. They're like, Russia's going to attack us, buy some more oil from them. What a freaking nightmare all of this is becoming very fast. Very fast indeed. Bahrain pushes UN resolution allowing all necessary means in the Strait of Hormuz. Members of the United Nations Security Council have started discussing draft resolutions aimed at safeguarding commercial shipping in and around the Strait of Hormuz. That's a report out of Reuters. The UN's going to save them. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Iran begins charging transit fees up to $2 million for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. According to a report out of Bloomberg and multiple regional officials, Iran has started charging commercial vessels transit fees that can reach about $2 million per ship for passage through the Strait of Hormuz, or they'll shoot you in the face, you see. India's largest oil company buys 5 million barrels of Iranian crude oil as Tehran establishes safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz for India's ships. The war against Iran has led to a global increase in fertilizer and energy prices, directly threatening food security in Africa. So what we keep reporting here now, the third world, fourth world, millions of people are going to starve to death because of this. Is that anywhere on the radar of Trump? No, he doesn't give a damn. Turkey's President Erdogan on Iran, he says, although the war is Aardvarkland's war, the whole world is paying the price. The war is Netanyahu's war for political survival, but 8 billion people are suffering the consequences. Yeah, that's pretty spot on, I would say. But he don't do nothing, right? So that is French authorities allegedly raided the Rothschild's bank in Paris there. That happened on Friday. The Paris headquarters of Edmond de Rothschild Private Bank were searched on Friday as part of an investigation by France's financial prosecutor into suspected bribery of public officials, according to sources close to the bank in a case linked to the Epstein files. At least in France, they're acting like something's wrong and we should be concerned and maybe investigate. Here in America, they literally just laugh in our face about all this. Literally laughing in our face. Flashback, Bondi.
About that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
A hearing with Attorney General Pam Bondi that got so heated, one Democratic member left the hearing room.
Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once when he was.
Big sauce.
And also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh, is Jewish. I just want to be clear.
So you want to go there, Attorney General? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust?
Bondi challenged by Republican Tom Massey over the Department of Justice redactions in the file, including Leslie Wexner, founder of Victoria's Secret.
Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
So we covered all that. I wanted the clip. I think we have the clip of the 50,000 Dow, but back to the Rothschild raid, a little bit more reporting on that. Rothschild raid there in Paris, France. French prosecutors say diplomat Fabrice Adan transferred UN Security Council briefings to Epstein. Epstein had access to classified international intelligence, is what they're looking at, essentially selling or leaking state secrets to Epstein. They're through the office of Edmond de Rothschild. Epstein linked probe into diplomat. So we'll see. Not holding my breath that we'll get any justice on that front, but at least again, France acts like, this is really, really bad. The biggest cover up in American history, the Epstein files. The Department of Justice continues to withhold the files and violate the Epstein Transparency Act. Here's Nancy Mace. She's running for governor in South Carolina, and she's trying to build up a bunch of political capital here, going after what is obviously popular amongst the American population. Release the files. Well, yeah, release them. Release them. And she did force the vote, her and Massey, right, in the House of Representatives about the Congressional Sexual Harassment Slush Fund. And we saw 300, was it 50, how many ever members of Congress vote against it? So she has been digging up some dirt and putting it out there. And of course, that's a flashback from the hashtag Me Too era. But Nancy Mace out there trying to do her politicking. Yeah, I wanted where Bondi yells out the Dallas 50,000. They're still this is a William Ramsey post. Yeah, they're still covering up at the DOJ. Flashback Bondi.
Documents over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history, and none.
Seriously, they're still covering up right now, breaking the law. Massey said the Epstein files are an encyclopedia of criminal activity committed by billionaires and politicians across the globe. Indeed. Indeed. And that was a repost, his comment on a repost of this story from yesterday. New Leon Black has said he paid Jeffrey Epstein $170 million for tax and estate planning. We covered this yesterday, I believe, but failing New York Times investigation found Epstein provided a range of other services as well. Remember, he was trying to, which included helping Black obscure millions of dollars in payments to women. Should have just, Leon Black should have just been in Congress, and they would have helped him cover up all of his sexual misconduct. More from William Ramsey here. The Epstein files, nothing compared to Trump's murderous evil. In a June 3rd, 2017 email from Paul Krasner to Epstein, the Squatty Potty CEO, who was recently arrested. Here's that email. You could see there, to from, they did redact it, but subject, yikes. I'm against censorship, and that includes Kathy Griffin. CNN eats chicken shit. What she did is nothing compared to Trump's murderous evil. Squatty Potty. Yeah. Wow. Continuing here. Continuing a little bit more. Those ones are from yesterday. Just remember this one. Remember this one from Epstein to redacted. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? Yeah, never forget, they're talking about mass depopulation here, and it's a funny, joking matter to these maniacs. And there's a bunch more, but yeah, but in 2 days, they're going to have some more depositions. We'll cover that. Biggest cover up in American history continues. The DOJ is doxing victims and covering up millions of files. And that's not even counting all of the redactions, you see. So that's an ongoing cover up. We'll continue to report on the Epstein files here. Now back to Operation Total Extermination. We talked a little bit with Charlie about it. They're building out this the greater North America here now as part of Operation Total Extermination. Pretty amazing here. We are going to continue strikes, U.S. Southcom says, on cartels in South America. So, yeah, expect more military actions as part of the Don Roe Doctrine launched in South America, as we're essentially fighting wars on what, 3 fronts, 4 maybe? Russia, Iran, South America here now. The boat strikes, they're doing extrajudicial assassinations. That's part of this. That is part of this total extermination operation. I say they're going to whack all the drug cartels, but the problem is it's whoever the U.S. government says are the bad guys, and they just go whack them. That's called murder. Here's meme of the day from the Department of War. They've been kind of quiet. Dominate the skies, they tell us, with this Firestorm drone. Meme of the day from the Department of War. Continuing here, U.S. Army to field Red Dragon autonomous drone capable of 400-kilometer strikes without a GPS. This drone unit right here, the Army says, is going into operation. 400-kilometer strikes without GPS. Trying to lower that cost-benefit ratio to shooting $5 million missiles at $20,000 to $50,000 Iranian drones. Cuba is under siege. An activist flotilla just arrived in Havana, Cuba. The Nuestra America group sailed from Mexico, officially carrying humanitarian aid to the Cubans. The Cubans have, 2 days ago, Cuba restored its power grid after a second nationwide blackout in the last week, as there is a continued U.S. Navy blockade against food, water, medicine, fuel. It's a full-on siege of Cuba here now. And the Cuban government says they're prepared for a U.S. invasion, which may very well happen. It may very well happen in this environment. We can't count it out, can we? And we did have that failed, it looked like some type of failed rogue, potentially backed by intelligence operation, where they were trying to send in essentially mercenaries out of Florida to try to do some type of regime change in Cuba. Remember that crazy story? And the Cuban government shot them and busted them. Remember that about 2 weeks ago? So ongoing attack on Cuba by America via the weaponization of the U.S. dollar, amongst other weapons in the U.S. arsenal. Also a blockade of goods going into Cuba, attempting the same deal, right? To piss off the population so bad they go overthrow the government is what all of these regime change operations start out as. And as we've seen in Iran situation, it was badly miscalculated by the Trump administration, as we're now on day 25 of the Iran war. Saudi Arabia wants Iran's missile capabilities degraded before the war ends. There was this reporting today that Saudi Arabia wants the war to continue. Saudi Arabia has denied said reporting. That's a report out of CNN. So here's Gavin Newsom, California psycho. He's trying to play both sides. Gavin Newsom refuses to say whether he considers himself a Zionist. Well, he is a Jesuit, that's for sure. Let's hear this clip as the new, kinder, gentler California psycho, Gavin Newsom.
Do you consider yourself a Zionist?
Do I consider myself a Zionist?
Yes.
I believe, I revere the state of Israel. I'm proud to support the state of Israel. I deeply, deeply oppose Bibi Netanyahu's leadership, his opposition to the two-state solution, and deeply oppose how he is indulging the far right as it relates to what's going on in the West Bank.
Do you regret using the word apartheid to describe
I
Israel?
used it, I do in this context, that I said it and I referenced why I used it, a Tom Friedman article in that same sentence where Tom used it in the context of the direction that Bibi is going.
Not the current
and the
state.
concern, correct.
Okay.
And that is a legitimate concern I have that I share with Tom, that direction, if that vision and that direction of the far right that Bibi is indulging, that if they see the full annexation of the West Bank, then that's not something. That's a word you may hear others use.
So Newsom's allowed to say it's apartheid state because Friedman from the New York Times said so, and that's what he's referring to. Hey, bud, it's internationally known they've committed genocide in Gaza. Are you allowed to criticize that? I mean, it's just so fake. How's he going to get any grassroots support from Democrats? It don't matter. It's all rigged. But the way things are looking, here's going to be your next president. Old Gavin Newsom, and he posted this. You can see right there, Gavin Newsom, he posted this. For so many years, people have been saying that Patrick Bateman and I look alike. Now this pic has been going all over the place. What do you think? Yeah, Patrick Bateman out of American Psycho is a movie character. You're a real life psycho. Yeah, you're mirroring him. You're mirroring the psycho in the movie here in real life, Gavin Newsom. Yeah. And they think it's funny. It's horrifying, actually, that this guy's the top Democrat. Lebanon expels Iran's ambassador amid escalating tensions. Lebanon's like, stop whacking us, aardvarks. Get Iran's ambassador out of here. Get Hezbollah out of here. Stop whacking us. Well, Lebanon has withdrawn the accreditation of Iran's ambassador to Beirut, Sheena Bani, and declared him persona non grata, ordering him to leave the country by March 29th, according to the Lebanese Foreign Ministry. They're like, dude, you're bringing too much heat on us. You're out. Will it make a difference? I highly doubt it, but in some type of show of good faith by the Lebanese government, they stop whacking us. They're like, no, we're taking all this land. And we'll see that later in the reporting here. More from Turkey President Erdogan. He said the massacre network. Yeah, he's speaking. He's speaking in Turkish and not. We don't have English subtitles, or I'd play you the clip. But he said the massacre network led by Netanyahu must be stopped immediately for the sake of regional peace and humanity. Every country should take a brave and proactive stance on this issue. You think? Here's Joe Kent, again, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's just a CIA psyop. He may very well be. He is intelligence. He's a spy, right? But listen to what he says. He makes quite a bit of sense what he says, and I'm not saying trust him. I'm saying he resigned, put it out there that we're in this war against Iran because of Aardvark land. Here he is now on Mark Levin radio broadcast. Joe Kent destroys Mark Levin and forces him to go to a commercial break. I think should we play that clip? Yeah, let's play that clip. This is from yesterday. Joe Kent on Mark Levin. Was it like a 2-minute clip here?
Why do you think the president said he never remembers you that well? He never really met with you that often. Is that correct?
Well, the president meets with so many different people. I mean, he knew who I was, but by no means was I a primary advisor to him on a daily basis. However, in terms of determining the threat level that Iran posed to our country, I was a key part of that process. So that was very much in my purview.
And he rejected your view?
I don't think he rejected the view. I think he may have chosen to go a different direction, and I think the vast majority of intelligence and information that he received was given to him to paint a picture that Iran was on the cusp of developing a nuclear weapon, which just simply was not the truth. And also, as Secretary Rubio said, there was no imminent threat coming from Iran against the Americans.
Well, you know, he corrected that.
There was an imminent threat coming from the Israelis who were going to attack. But that's actually the truth.
Okay, hold on. We're going to do it. We're going to do it honestly, one point at a time.
Had observed, the Iranians had observed an escalation ladder. They hadn't attacked us under President Trump.
Can you do me a favor? And I don't mean to be rude. Can you talk a little more slowly? I'm having trouble hearing. Take your time. Go ahead.
Sure. When President Trump came into office, the Iranians knew that President Trump wanted to get a deal. They observed the escalatory ladder very carefully. They stopped having our proxies attack us like they were attacking us under the Biden administration. And they got to the negotiating table with us about the nuclear agenda. When the 12-day war kicked off and the Israelis started that, the Iranians still didn't attack us.
All right. We have to take a break. I'm going to circle back on some of your comments here, and then I have some other questions. I appreciate you being here.
Again, it's written in the report to the Senate by the intelligence community that Iran posed no imminent threat. So it's all right there on the public record for anybody to go see or keep listening to Mark Levin's lies. It's up to you. Aardvark Land Defense Minister said clearly the military will occupy southern Lebanon up to the Litani River. That's old cats. So they are annexing up to the Litani River. Here's the map. Here is the map. Aardvark Land Defense Minister says Aardvark Land to occupy all of Lebanon south of the Litani River. Here's the map. And so they're building out the greater Aardvark Land project in front of everybody's face. They're stealing all this land, all this right here. And everybody there's Hezbollah terrorists, they tell us. So there you go. Ethnic cleansing. And I don't know, potentially we're getting into genocide territory here on the Lebanese. And so, of course, it's a violation of international law, but there is no international law anymore, as we're in if there ever was, right? Maybe they halfway enforced it here, there. We had that dude at the beginning that on this day in history, the Serbian dude, they actually did prosecute him for war crimes, crimes against humanity, all this stuff we see. The Bosnian Serb, this dude, right? And that was 2016. This dude right here, they did prosecute, but seems like all of that is ancient history and it's old news now. There is no more international law. It's a very dangerous place that we're finding ourselves in here now. Continuing. Yeah, they're taking all of it. They're taking all of that area again. The Litani River. And what's the Litani River to stop them once they've taken all of this? They'll continue moving north. There you go. Continuing here, again, not to be confused with the sex offender map. Here is the map of missile sirens going off, and there are some reports. I did see some videos coming out of damage done there in Aardvark land in Tel Aviv, but you could see massive attacks ongoing as Trump says we've won the war. And what number are we on of Operation True Promise 4? Iran, when was this? It's ongoing, right? So early this morning, Iran announced wave 79 of Operation True Promise. It's ongoing. Wave 79 here now. And they talk about all these different targets. And there's more of these maps, but here's one. And again, a little bit of video is coming out of Aardvark land, and you can see a lot of direct hits. And they even had in this report, there's a bunch of video blowing up stuff. Here's Iranian missile hits Tel Aviv. And we'll not play much of these clips, but here's a short one. And I don't believe it shows any humans injured. Not much audio, but you can see massive damage. Iranian missiles are hitting in Tel Aviv. Wow. Yeah, so let me just update this and give you the latest. This is the Cradle reporting. Let's see here. The latest they got. Yeah, it's ongoing. Kuwait. There's reports of drone attacks at Kuwait International Airport in the last hour. That's the most recent. And then we have Iran International. It's like mainstream Iran. We'll cover at the end of the show here. More reporting here. Iran's armed forces announced that since early this morning, they carried out drone attacks targeting the Rafael weapons industry in Haifa, Aardvark land aerospace industries near Ben Gurion Airport, and refueling aircraft at the airport, describing the sites as key components of Aardvark land's defense manufacturing sector, including systems such as Iron Dome and David's Sling. Hezbollah announced targeting Iron Dome sites with a swarm of attack drones. According to a statement from the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, its fighters carried out 23 operations over the past 24 hours using dozens of drones and missiles against U.S. bases in Iraq and across the region. We won the war, bro. Trump told me that. Huh? Well, they're tagging the hell out of everything we got over there right now. So I guess that's hashtag winning, according to Trump now. This afternoon, a Palestinian child was killed by Aardvark forces who opened fire on tents sheltering displaced civilians in Kiana, South Gaza. The bullet struck him inside his tent. That's reported off Quads News Network. 14 injured in Aardvarkland airstrike on Al Alma roundabout in the city of Tari in southern Lebanon, according to Lebanese Ministry of Health. Top PMU commander, over a dozen fighters killed in new U.S. strikes on Iraq. So they're taking out these popular mobilization forces, another militia operating there out of Iraq. They're claiming a dozen of their militia members killed by U.S. Aardvarkland attacks in Iraq. Iran's Emergency Medical Services Organization says at least 208 people under the age of 18 have been killed since the start of the war, while 1,563 children have been injured, including 111 under 5 years old, among them a 1-month-old infant baby. Local authorities also report that 3,794 women are among the wounded, and U.S. Aardvarkland strikes have damaged around 318 healthcare facilities, including 49 emergency bases, 186 healthcare centers, and 40 hospitals, with at least 12 hospitals now out of service. They're bombing the hell out of Iran. Indeed. And the bodies are stacking up. The UAE Ministry of Defense announces a death of a Moroccan contractor serving with the UAE Armed Forces who was killed during a routine mission in Bahrain after an Iranian missile strike. Tel Aviv municipality says the Iranian missile strikes this morning led to the displacement of 39 Aardvark families. Parents of the 168 school children killed at the beginning of this whole thing as part of a ritualistic blood sacrifice, as we continue to cover here at Weaponized News. They were mourning at and they're keeping vigil at their children's graves. It's very heartbreaking, actually. Here's a still image of that, of the parents of these dead children mourning at their graves. These are the wages of war. It's quite horrific. Haaretz is reporting a Palestinian minor who died in Aardvarkland prison was likely starved, but the case was closed. This boy died because he was starved to death by Aardvarkland prison services, which held him in conditions that led to his death. They're raping prisoners with knives and dogs and army men, and they're starving prisoners to death. Aardvarkland ultra-Zionist settlers are asked if people in Gaza deserve food. No, they don't. What do I care? Kill them? The Bible says this place is for us. It's promised for us so they can starve. I think we need to come together and kill them all. Here's translated into English what these maniacs are saying.
No, they don't deserve it. What I care? Kill them. I don't care.
Do you trust Palestinians?
No. I know all about them. I don't trust them. I want them out of here.
What do you think should happen to Gaza?
I want to be civilized with Jews from Israel.
And as the Bible says, this place is for us. It's promised for us, so they can starve to death to pay on the things that they've done to us on the 7th of October.
אני חושב שצריך, לא יודע, אני חושב שצריך כולם להיות מאוחדים ואנחנו צריכים, אנחנו נכנסים, צריך להיכנס חזרה לעזה ולהשתלט שם על המדינה.
There you go. The New Testament is antiseptic, obviously. And so that's these maniacs' mindset. You can see they're not shy about telling you their feelings toward the Palestinians, and you and I, for that matter. That report didn't get into that, but I think it's pretty well established here now, their feelings toward the Goyim. This is what illegal aardvark settlers do for fun. They discuss attacking Arabs, pushing each other to throw stones and escalate violence with lines like, why not? They're Arabs. And so they see them as less than human. They see you and I as less than human as well. It's needed here too, like Gaza. And we sit and throw stones, missiles, make trouble. And they're talking about running the Palestinians, ethnically cleansing them, running them off their land. May very well whack them as well. They're in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. And so here's more of this behavior from the ultra-Zionist settlers.
מה זה?
עד איפה אתה זורק את זה?
למה שאני אזרוק עליהם אבנים? מה, אתה ערבי?
לא, לזרוק לפה. זרוק עליהם. בוא נגיד אתה מגיע לזה טוב.
אני לא זורק אבנים. מה העניין לזרוק אבנים?
ערבים, מפה לשבור להם איזה בית שם.
לא מספיק לזרוק עליהם טילים בעזה?
גם פה צריך. גם פה, צריך פה טיל אחד.
טוב.
צריך פה טיל באמצע ככה, וואו. נשמע.
כל היום אתם באים לפה?
שנים אוכלים, אבנים, טילים.
טוב.
למה אנחנו רוצים את כל הכפר כמעט? תפסו אותה.
פעם זרקתם רימון?
רצינו.
They're on the hill. It's fun for them to throw rocks down there at the Arabs. Wowzers, man. Okay, up. Here's Iran International. What's the latest, greatest from them? They say Trump says war won again. Yeah. Hints at a possible deal with Iran. Not holding my breath here. Not holding my breath. Pentagon orders 2,082nd Airborne troops to the Middle East. We reported that. New York Times reporting there. And drones strike fuel tank at Kuwait International Airport, causing a fire. And so we've won the war, but the attacks on all of our bases and assets in the region are continuing, and the attacks on aardvark land are continuing, and the attacks against Iran and Lebanon are continuing, and the genocide in Palestine is continuing. But hey, it's the golden age of the Board of Peace. Wow, man. And then I think this will be our last report. Former Knesset Speaker Berg to Tucker. Let's watch this about the, he said there have been 5 attempts to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock because we got to fulfill the fake prophecy some kind of way.
How important is the rebuilding of the temple to the people you're describing, to the cabinet ministers, to the rabbis who are not speaking up against what's happening in the occupied territories? Is there actually an effort to do that, do you believe?
Since 67, at least 5. I'm not at all sure that not more. At least 5 attempts to remove the mosques from the Temple Mount were done by these groupings since 67, which means that when you come to address this question, it is not so much about the numbers who support the removal of the temples and the removal of the mosques and the rebuild of the temples. It is about the dedication and the readiness and the fanaticism of those who are ready to act.
Let me just say, I'm embarrassed. I did not know there had been 5 attempts to get rid of the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa. So these were plots to blow them up? Is that what happened?
Yep.
There you go. Damn Muslim terrorists trying to blow up their own mosque. Amazing. That's all the reporting we have for today. Let's pray for peace as they're stacking bodies, and it only looks like it's escalating no matter what lies are coming out of the Trump administration here now. It's not looking good. We're looking to bear the brunt of the massive increase in diesel fuel. So you could expect that cost to be passed on to all of your consumer products, including food, going forward here now. So you could thank the Trump administration for that as well. And they don't give a damn about third or fourth world. They sell us the lie. Oh, we care about the Christians in Nigeria. That's why we had to attack. You don't give a damn about anybody in Africa. You don't even care. The Trump administration doesn't even care about Americans, like that Australian politician said straight up. So just save it. You know what I mean? Save your lies. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get any better here now. Let's pray for peace. It's not looking good. They're stacking bodies all over the place there now. Okay, let me go over to Odysee channel. Check out the chat over there. Shout out to Gurr, John, Huffman. Thank you guys for tuning in. Deep. Let's see. The debt cannot be paid. Is there a jubilee coming? Good question. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to try to do some other scheme, right? Some other scheme, fraud. It's all about confidence in the system. I don't know if Trump can garner that confidence any longer. We shall see. We shall see. It only seems incoherent, Sam. The ultimate goal is depopulation with a special preference given to the white Gentiles. Yeah, it's looking that way, right? Ukraine-Russia war is making profits for the bankers while killing white Christians on each side. And underreported, there's a bunch of Christians in Lebanon that are supporting Hezbollah because they realize that they're the only ones standing up against aardvark aggression, and they are targeting Christians in Palestine or Gaza. They're targeting them in Lebanon, all over West Asia region. Christians are being targeted. Mum's the word out of Trump. So it goes to show you that all of his rhetoric is total bullshit and just that rhetoric, and there's no genuine principled meaning behind any of it, because they don't give a damn about Christians being slaughtered in West Asia, which is evidenced by all the aardvark attacks against those Christians. Let's see here. No aardvark invasion force, no call up for their reservists. Yeah, we did report on that at the beginning. They're calling up 400,000 reservists. Let's see. Somebody made a suspicious $1.5 million bet is that the market would go up minutes before Trump announced an end to the war. Yeah. Yeah, they're war profiteering, front running it, insider trading. Trump administration, the most corrupt in history here now. Thank you for tuning in on Odysee, keeping that chat lively. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on X, Kick, Twitch, Bitchute, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Let me go over to the Rumble and YouTube chats quickly. See if we can give some shout outs there. Quite some chats going on. Thank you guys for keeping it lively there. What is A-Dub says, in going to post on my social media, be right back. Let's see. I posted on my social media, but no one cares. Do they care? The U.S. government's insolvent. Everybody could not care until they're gonna make you care at some point. You will care, no matter how obtuse to reality you are. You will care at some point here now. Eileen says, U.S. such bullies. Who the hell they think they are anyway? Well, we're the police of the world, as it says in the Constitution, right? Little Carol on YouTube. I read there was a Russian oil tanker on its way to Cuba. That will be interesting if true. Yeah, they're trying to assist Cuba. The Russians are, with some type of fuel aid. I thought Charles Manson and the Zodiac Killer and Son of Sam were California psychs. No, it was actually all just a background story of Gavin Newsom's youth. Just looking through the comments here. Thank you guys, Fat Bob, Mac, Eileen. Thank you guys for chatting it up, keeping it lively on the YouTube. Jan, I don't trust Kent at all. Another paid ops, may very well be, but he's making the points that need to be made. Used to like Levin. Yeah. Before he took the mask off, maybe, but now he's just clear. He's a clear Aardvarkland agent at this point. You know what I mean? So, snarky guy says they're averaging 3 waves per day. Yeah. Yeah. Silver says, I don't know what the F is going on, but just came back from shops and on side road was a police stop. And the pigs were dressed in camo fatigues. I think Silver's out of Australia. Yeah, I don't know, man. What is going on? I don't know. But that's concerning. Troops on the streets in Cambria, capital of satanic Australia, Silver said. It's concerning. They're rolling out militarized police, essentially. It is very concerning. Full military uniform. Had it been me, I'd have taken it as a joke and gotten into even more trouble. Well, thanks for that report concerning they're out of Australia with militarized police on the streets. Yeah, Bart says exactly. we're cattle to them. Yeah, they say as much. I mean, it shouldn't even be controversial at this point, even though they're doing giant, censorship campaigns. The ADL brags about they're scanning the internet for anybody that may be stating the truth about what's going on here, essentially, or offensive to aardvarks and hate speech. Not being hateful at all. I'm saying, you guys, come on, man. Like, seriously? Like, you guys are the ones that are openly hateful against everybody else, according to your Talmudic teachings. Just scrolling through there. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, energy lockdowns 2.0. Third world, fourth world, they're going to feel it. We're going to feel it right here in America as prices continue to increase. Let's pray for peace. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. We'll be back here on Wednesday for more.